Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. As always, I'm showing stuff from last stream. Haha, there we go. I'm your host, Mike. That's right. Lucky I wasn't just like pre-spoiling the other spoilers I had ready. Oof, that would have been bad. How's it going, everybody? You may notice that we're on a new character. Yes, Frozen Over is done, and we're playing Melee again. Primarily, we're looking on Void Cleave, doing some Void Whirly Boy action, little rebuke. Yeah, have some fun with it. I don't think we're a little low, so I think we're just gonna start with normal and see what happens. Let's just have a little fun here. How's everybody doing? If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm surprised you're here right at the very start if it's your first time, but if you are, and it is, we always stream for charity. Child's Play is our charity of the month right now, and we'll be doing that all month long. Now, Reimer made this build for me. So we've got a nice filter that he made for me as well. Ooh, it's pretty. Look at that. So I don't even know what's going on in here. We'll take a quick look through our abilities here. So we're primarily using Void Cleave, Warpath, Abyssal Echoes, Lunge, and Anomaly. However, Abyssal Echoes, you'll notice, is not on our bar, and we're going to be triggering that. Main items that make us work: Aphisma and Titan's Heart are our uniques of choice. Get some buffs here. What buffs this? Void Ages, yeah. Reduce damage taken. It's always good. I haven't seen the icon for that in quite a while. It's your first time here. Welcome. Glad to have you. For you and anyone else who's here, I like to take questions from the community. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them. Please put an @Last Epoch game in front of your question so I see it pop out from chat. Look all pretty. Yeah, it's just gonna be a casual, relaxed Q&A stream here today. Got a couple spoilers later on for you. Little neat updates, things to share. What's this? Oh, that's what? 0 poison res? What is going on? Wait, do we have damage conversion somehow? Or something? Am I crazy? There wouldn't be, would there? Long-time player, first-time watcher. Oh, glad to have you here. Hope you're enjoying the game so far. A question: trying to make Ignite, Warpath work and bleed from gear and passives are not being accounted for. I know some of the skill conversions only work on the respective trees. Is that the case here? No, they shouldn't be. So if you have a conversion, it probably won't show in the character screen. It won't show here. So if you've got a skill specific conversion, it won't show that it is being affected here. So like your ignite chance for Warpath, if it's converted to fire, the bleed chance converted to fire will work, but it won't show here as ignite chance. Yeah. Oh, it's bleaching. Okay, that's the thing. So I just don't need poison res because it's a dot, and I can just out leech it. Is that what's going on? I guess I should pay attention to the whatever we're doing here. Oh, I know what the problem is. My movement ability is on the wrong key. That'll be better. Engage, Cage! Yeah, so it's the it should be working, but yeah. Sorry. Hello, Powyo 7. Is patch 0.9 close to being complete? There's still a lot of stuff that we need to do on it. I don't have an exact timeline for you on it at the moment. You just have to wait for an official statement for when it's ready. There'll be a dev blog or something that will like outline when it's coming, all that jazz. At some point.
Stand down or die.
How do you guys feel about juicing monoliths? I mean, it's kind of hard to do that. Really, like you can kind of do it a little bit, but because the modifiers wear off after a certain number of them, it's kind of hard to stack it too crazy high. We do like it is a thing that's fine with, but I don't think that there's a problem with the way it is now, if that's what you're asking. Oops. I'll get used to it, don't worry. Love it. It's just a tanky boy. I think I'm gonna try and make some legendaries. I've got legendary potential on my chest and weapon, and that's our big goal today, is to get some sort of exalted item on there. And we got a couple to give it a couple shots, you know, just for fun. Should be using anomaly more, shouldn't I? just like happy spinning, just spinning away, just whiling my time. Spin, spin, spin. Don't forget to drink lots of water. This run left bug's been fixed, by the way, in there in 0.9. Hi, medium term Last Epoch player here. Sweet. Missed a few Q&As and wanted to ask you a question. Could you please explain sextant blocking? I still didn't get the like detailed explanation ready, because yeah, just severe. I stopped getting the question. Well, so you see how like sometimes you have this kite shield, or you have like a big shield like this, and it's really effective at blocking attacks because there's lots of surface area to protect yourself behind, to hide behind it with a proper shield. Sextants are really inefficient at this process because they're so much smaller, and it's not a solid piece, like a single solid piece of like tempered steel or something like that. So you can't you can't like protect yourself with it as well. So they infuse these sextants with magic, because they're inherently magical devices, obviously, right? And when you get all of this magical energy into the sextant, it wants to repel everything from it. So it just can't handle anything being near it. And then you put a dimensional anchor on the handle, so you can still hold it, but it repels things at the other end. And that blocks incoming attacks. All right. Anomaly gives you lots of buffs, including leech. Yeah, I should use it. I know I should. I guess we could do a little dive through our abilities here and see what we've got. haven't even looked at the character properly yet. I was like, yeah, this looks good. I took a brief look at the abilities and some of the keynotes. I'm like, yeah, this looks awesome. Let's go for it. Let's have some fun. I do love Void Cleave. It's just such a satisfying ability. But the visual feedback on the hits created by things, especially with large singular hits like Void Cleave, are being updated so much. And like, it's fun. I know I keep gushing about it, but I keep running into this issue where I'm using it in this build and I'm like, that doesn't feel the same as it does on multiplayer. Rah. That's true. It's true. Where's the tunes, man? I'm so bad at balancing the audio volume. I don't know what it is. I'm just like... Is that better? I am happy to adjust music and sound volumes in general as people see fit. Ooh, a little 1 LP devotion there, not so shabby. Mike speaking words, one day I'll understand them. Hey man, as soon as you learn English, you're right there. Is that rebuke? How is that useful for Warpath? It's more in the situation like so the boss of this monolith, for example, has very large attacks that like you need to move out of them quickly. But because lunge is your movement ability, sometimes you don't have a target to lunge to. I can't lunge right now. So if you can't get out of the large attack that's coming in, you just tank it. And so even a baseline rebuke, without any points in it or anything, is still 80% less damage. So like that's a huge, and it's a less modifier, so it's multiplicative with everything else. If you already got like a few layers of 75, you know, it's pretty it's a pretty huge amount of damage reduction. You can quite often tank a lot of abilities, a lot of boss abilities with it. Every time I have Warpath on my bar, though, I find myself just Warpathing. It's just too good of an ability. Alright, is there any way to make a black hole lightning elemental currently in game, or any plans to have something make it lightning? I like the lightning. Yeah, it's we pretty intentionally did not have lightning damage involved with it. You might think that's a weird decision to make on a class that's specifically all about getting as many of the different elements as possible, or being able to use one specific element a whole bunch. But one thing we're really clear on is not having every ability be instantly functional, like with every single element, like every single conversion. It makes everything a little too samey, I think. And I think you'll end up with a lot, like it might seem like, oh, more options, better, more diversity, but I think you'd actually end up with so similar builds. I think builds would homogenize a lot more if basically every spell could be every element, because it would just be like, all right, which one does the most damage? Okay, convert it to the element you want. Okay, let's go, done. And I think that would just be, and then like you pick your support abilities that go with it. But having the mechanics function specifically in certain ways and not have them be available for every single element gives a little bit of what was the saying? Limitations breed creativity, restrictions breed creativity, something like that. We do have a build command rhymer. And I have access to that, so I'm going to do that. It's called Nightbot, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Commands, custom command. Mike is working on that build. There we go, that should work now. Yeah. Oh, I forgot I need paranoia, and I have paranoia in my stash. Yeah. It's a good thing I looked at this. Oh, that's a lot of meteors. Bleed ears? I'm calling them bleed ears. Let's get chat back up so I can see what's happening instead of just ignoring everybody. Just finishing up on that lightning black hole question. I will say though, there are more lightning abilities in the pipe for mage. Well, kind of mage. Oh yeah, right. I need an exalted. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna hide the magic items because. There we go. Clean things up a touch. Yeah, sent her away, but her ability stays. That's funny. Oh, she's a tanky girl. Okay. Next question. Pew, 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 pew. Don't forget to put that Last Epoch game in the question if I'm going to see it. Here we go. Hi. Demo Man from Team Fortress 2, an average height Last Epoch enthusiast here. I leveled some characters to level 80, but did not manage to find a single one that would have a sticky bomb launcher as a main skill. Any chance would add something similar ability? Also, training super or sticky jumper would be nice for flying around. Detonating arrow on the marksman, I think, has pretty similar functionality if you extend the arming duration. And increase. There's a note. I think it increases arming duration and explosion radius. I think there's one node that does that. I could be wrong. Maybe it's already in there. Just out of curiosity, when are the optimization changes coming to the game? If there is a date for it. No date, but it will be involved with the next patch, so 0.9. Randomly Max, 15 months in a row. Pew, pew, pew. Thank you very much. It's a big one. I'm gonna show off. I'm gonna show you. We recently got this board game Wingspan. Oh my goodness, it's great. And I've been printing everything I can for it. And so this print's almost done. Had a little problem, so I'm going to reprint pieces of it. But there's a little birdhouse, bird feeder, dice tower thing. And I like his little thing. Whoop. And I'm printing the roof for it right now. So that's what you get, Random Remix, for that. I'm gonna just show you a random print I've been working on. Which I know is completely unrelated and unsolicited, but there we go. Any plans to add other types of idols, like set legendary or something else? Legendary's tricky. Legendary implies the existence of exalted idols, which is really tricky. Partially because currently idols do not have ranks or tiers on their shards, on their what am I trying to say? Affix tiers on idols do not have ranks, and therefore you cannot have. They're all tier 1, so there's no such thing as a tier 6 or tier 7 idol affix. So you can't have an exalted idol, so you can't make a legendary. So we'd either have to like amend the term, or add tiers, or do something to make exalted idols. I'm not sure what an exalted idol would look like, but it would have to be consistent terminology to make sense. So while it's not impossible, I would say it's not a 1.0 feature look. So we'd be more interested in looking at other mechanics for that. As far as sets, or there are unique ones already, so we could add LP to the unique ones. So that part's fine. However, as far as set idols go, there's not a ton of space in the idol inventory. And because it's class independent, set ones are a little tricky. One thing we could do, and I'd kind of like to see it. We don't have any plans for this at all, but like have a piece of a set be an idol, and then have the rest of the set be in your gear. Which I'm pretty sure we can do, because they're just items like any other items, and the set affixes are just affixes like any other affix, really. So yeah, I think that's possible. I think that'd be cool. We don't have any plans for it, but I think that might be neat. Yeah. Or have a unique idol that interacts with sets in a weird way. That could be possible, but yeah, there's no plans for that immediately. We're pretty happy with the idol system. There's a lot of room for it to grow for sure. But as far as a 1.0 launch complexity feature, we're pretty happy with it. I could see there's a lot of different places to work with the idol system. Some of it's through as like a reward for interacting with other systems. So what any other endgame systems have them as a reward, have a dungeon have it be a reward to interact with idols somehow. Possibly the existence of like limited crafting on idols through a dungeon reward is a possibility. We've talked about all sorts of things, like a suggestion that gets brought up pretty frequently. It relates to the centerpiece of this idol slot right here, having something here that maybe affects all the idols, or something that gives you buffs based on the number of idols. So all the idols, we get various suggestions along these veins quite a bit, and I'm just relaying those suggestions. So there's like one suggestion we see is like an idol, maybe a slot here that says like +1 vitality for every small, like 1 or 2 slot idol. It's like small or medium, whatever it is. Small, stout, and humble idols. Or something like that. And I think you could do some cool synergies that way. The other suggestion we get frequently is like a slot that goes in here. You could have things like along the lines of like a jewel that sockets in there and says 10% more effectiveness to all your idol stats, or something like that. So yeah, there's things you can go both ways, where the idols affect the thing in the center, or the thing in the center affects the idols. There's other options there too as well. But I mean, I think post launch stuff, there's lots of room there. And I can do the boss, and I just went into this echo like a scrub-a-dub-dub. What is Mike doing? Ugh. We just shout at your monitor. And I hang my head in shame, because I know you're right. Alright, another question here. Let's see what I missed. Wingspan is a fantastic game. It is a fantastic game. If you're looking for a good 2-player board game, highly recommend. Highly recommend. we haven't played it with anyone else yet, so I'm like always a little curious on like what other people's scores are like. Like, are we good? Are we just terrible? But like we're similar enough to each other that it's still fun and competitive in our like minute meta. Snowdrift for Manifest Armor, the frostbite effect per freeze rate seems to not work for him. It would be for the Manifest Armor's freeze rate, not your own. So your own freeze rate would not count. It's pretty hard to get freeze rate on a Manifest Armor, so it might not be appearing very very much. At the same time, that mod might not work as well. I'm not sure. I'd have to get in the editor and check to see if it was working or not. Snowdrift is an older one, I think. I think it's an old one. And the older ones, some of them are still using an old system, so they're non-functional with Manifest Armor. But they're all being updated. Perhaps a new type of idol that fits in the center of the idol UI. I mean, yeah, I think it would have to be called something different. It would have to be called like a jewel or a gem. Ooh, a 2 LP strong mind. I'll take those. It's cool. It's not really great. It's just cool. Oh, we're just getting all sorts of LP. Okay. Okay, buddy. Bye-bye. I'm not even going to let you die. I'm just going to leave you in the void, languishing for all time. That's how evil I am. Alright, next question here. Maybe, where are we? Maybe for a season in 1.x, you have a blessing part of a set. Oh, that's cool. Because you're right. You're absolutely right. Blessings are items. And they work the same way as items. So you could do something like that. Yeah, that's really cool, actually. Have and like a Ring of Royal Grandeur blessing. Sorry. Like a blessing that says like, all of your set items need one less piece to complete. It's a lot more powerful of an effect in a game where the sets are generally quite small, like Epoch, compared to where you have a lot of 6 pieces in D3. Another question here. First time chatter. Hi! I started playing for 2 weeks now, and I really like the game. Thanks, you're welcome. Can't wait to, I just can't play with a controller. Any updates on that still feels some wonky. Yeah, there's controller updates coming all the time. Sometimes there's little things, sometimes they're big things. But yeah, we're constantly working on the controller. The 1.0 version of the game will have full controller support. But we don't have that yet. Controller support's in development, we'll say. we'll put it nicely. Let's get rid of just you. Oh, did I miss my anomaly? I did miss my anomaly. It's unfortunate. It's okay, we can just bye-bye. Will there be a way to check minion stacks resist HP and armor? Yeah, so there's maybe, hopefully, probably. There's 2 different types of important minion stats, because currently minions do snapshot when you summon them, which is something else we're working on. You get like the information that's on here. Even if we had like your skeleton warriors have this stat, and your increased skeleton warrior bit damage, and increased skeleton mage damage, and increased skeleton archer damage, and increased fire wraith damage, and like even if we had every single one of those stats, it still wouldn't be accurate necessarily for each one that's in the world. it would be accurate for the next one you summon. And I think that's the style of system we would still stick with, and work on the snapshotting effect afterwards. But I think the like opening up a character sheet for a summoned minion that exists in the world, that probably we won't do. I did it again. You know what? I'm just gonna leave. I just want to do the boss. We're just checking it out. No big deal. What was I doing? I think it was this one. I think I was in Reign of Dragons. That was somewhere. Hey, let's go. Mighty Morphin boss fighting time. Yeah, we're printing all sorts of stuff for Wingspan though. I've got these little nests to put the eggs in. Yeah. Card holder. We're going a little overboard with it.
Yes.
It's like all I use my printer for is like game pieces for other games. Ah, Avalanche run! Come with me, and you'll see. Nothing, because it's the void I'm sending you to. Alright. Don't hide behind your little ice walls from me. Yeah, I'm gonna just go find paranoia from my stash here after this, I think. There we go. Problem solved. The monoliths make good magic card names for Urza's AI, yeah. Hashtag culling. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of, there's a new set coming out right now in Magic that has a ton of new Urza cards, if anyone doesn't know. Urza is one of the main characters in Magic's storylines. Original storylines. But the Urza in Last Epoch was named actually completely independently, because I talked to the person who named it and I'm like, oh, is this a nod to Magic? And he was like, no, and had no idea what I was talking about. And it like he explained like where the name came from, and it had like all sorts of other significance, and I was like, that is one epic coincidence. I love the Warpath echoes. It took a surprisingly long time to make function. Ooh. Yeah, see there? There's rebuke in action. I just stayed in the middle, so I don't have to like leave and come back. Take the hit. sometimes I make not inoptimal plays. I'm great at being okay. Do you guys plan on full release in December? No. Be smart to do so. D4 coming, that way more people play LE. No, I think that a full like 1.0 release December is way too early for a 1.0 release. I don't think that should not come as a surprise to anyone who, if you're been watching closely. That should not be news. We're not even at 0.9 yet. Like there's ways before full release. Having a man, I had a good forum post yesterday that just like says exactly what I want to say perfectly here. I'm just gonna find that post and read it. How do I find my own stuff? Activity. There it is. Was it a forum post? No, it was on Discord, wasn't it? Oh, Mike, you're taking way too long for this now. Gosh, Mike, what are you doing? Alright, here we go. Regardless of when other products release, if we launch before it's ready, we'll forever carry a dark rain cloud of a rough launch. It's possible to shake them off for a well-established franchise, but for a first-time game, it's especially perilous. We're extremely mindful of everything external that can affect us in this, and we take it all into account. We get advice from other developers, publishers, producers, community members, and everyone else with opinion on the matter. The bottom line is that we're doing what we can to get the game out the door as soon as possible. We aren't interested in sacrificing our mental or physical health to hit a deadline. We know just how tough it is to wait for a game to come out, especially when it's already later than you initially expected. I've got a few games that spring to mind myself that I want to drop so bad. My wife just booked her vacation for next year, so to coincide with a certain green tunic wearing hero. Easiest Mother's Day present ever. As for an Epoch roadmap, this was a question. What was the original question about a roadmap? As for an Epoch roadmap, I don't think we have any plans to publish another official one anytime soon. Really, all hinges on multiplayer and the status of certain major bugs. So much of the other stuff is just whatever we manage to get in by the time we have multiplayer polished. So it's tough to put those specific on a public list because it's a lot of stuff that will flex between 0.91 and 1.1. Just as a side note, finishing the masteries is not what I would consider a flex feature. They will be in at 1.0 specifically. General statement. I think the important part of all of that is that oh boy. Yeah, I think this is the exact situation I was talking about before, about having to tank that instead of being able, because you can't run out of it because I have no movement ability. Oh, I just put it on cooldown. We're going into the corner. That was close. That was close. Like the whole you got to beat D4 to market mentality. There is, I understand where that's coming from, and there's definitely a history of examples you can point to where like two things were competing directly, and one got to market first, and that one was the wildly successful one, and the other one had much reduced success because of that. And I can see where people are coming from with the suggestions like that, but if we release the game and we're basically just ignoring Diablo 4's release date at this point and trying to get the game out as quickly as we can, and it's but we do have certain minimum quality standards that we're going to release the game with. So it's once we're happy with the quality of the game. Oh no, did I do too early? Okay, we're good. Once we're happy with the quality of the game, we'll release it, and that's it. Like, we'll get it done as soon as we can, and then we'll release it. And yeah, there's probably some things that will be a lot easier and maybe better if we got it up before Diablo 4. But it's more important that we, do our own thing. Oh, come on. This is Trixie. Oh, come on. I'm trying to push him away from all of these blood pools on the edge. So yeah, like, we'll get it done as soon as we can. I don't know when that'll be. Ooh, all res. Reimer, what's in the build here? These are some good ones. You had necrotic res listed on the build. Leech looks pretty good too. Future plans for dungeons. I like them conceptually, but I don't really enjoy actually running them too large, too many walls. Perhaps I think the random generation nature of dungeons being more typical to the genre would be a huge boon for them. I also think increased variety, which we're definitely planning on doing, would be a huge boon as well. There's lots of really big wins available on the dungeon system. It's got a really strong backbone, and I think there's a lot of really powerful things. I mean, power in terms of game design power that are there, and I think we'll do well with the system. And yeah, it's not finished yet. It still has potential. Yeah, Kumakanoi, Kumakanox. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry, but yeah, D-Force 2 MO for you. Yeah, and that's the thing is, yeah, we're slightly different games. There's also plenty of room for both games to exist in the world, in the genre. We're gonna go. Where's my waypoint, Rymer? Where's my waypoint? I'm just joshing. Just kidding. Yeah, like, D4 is gonna be a huge game. It's gonna be around for a long time. Most of the time that D4 and Last Epoch are released and in people's hands and available to play and are being discovered by people and people entering the genre and all that sort of stuff, they're both going to exist for the vast majority of that time. And which one releases first, I don't think will have a huge impact. Yeah, like, it's one of those things where we want to get out as soon as we can, and we're doing everything we can to. But beating Diablo 4 to market is not worth. Here's a good way to put it: beating Diablo 4 to market is not worth a bad launch. Beating Diablo 4 to market is not worth destroying everyone who works on the game, and just like, like a huge amount of crunch work is not worth beating Diablo 4 to market for us. So yeah, it's as soon as we can, but like, we're not gonna kill ourselves over it. All right. Oh, it was Somnia that I saw, not Paranoia. Whoops. Do I have any sweet exalted chests or weapons that I can? I guess it has to be a two-handed axe, doesn't it? that I can slap something on one of these. Like, I'm sure I do here. Here's axes. I mean, organizations for suckers, right? Looks terrible. Looks really terrible, Mike. Oh, I want to put something on that has an affix I might not be able to use. Oh! Rive. Of course it has Rive on it. This isn't exalted, though, with 6 forging potential. Okay, never mind. This is surprising. Usually I can find something buried in here. Oh, here's an axe. Here's a big axe. It's got a terrible affix on it for us. Oh, no, what's this? It's a one-handed axe. Of course it's a one-handed axe. Luckily, there's a lot of tabs here from when I was mucking about. Oh! Oh! That's way better. Yeah. Does it have any forging potential on it still? 16. Might be able to do something with that. Do the chest at all? Oh, there's another one. Oh, we got a few. Oh, we got a few. That's what I'm talking about. I think we're doing X. All the chests are class. They're acolyte. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else here. Is this bugged? Is this the same one as something else? No, it doesn't look like it. Gosh, this is riveting, isn't it? I'm trying to question and answer while I'm doing this. I'm not just boring everybody. Okay. Before the new patch, is there a chance you would do a Friday stream of multiplayer? Yeah, I think there's a good chance of that. I think that's the sort of thing that as we get closer to the patch, we can start looking at doing. I'd love to. I'd love to get. Yeah, I have no idea if that's possible. I don't want to say it. I'd love to get some people on to play with me on Friday streams that. Yeah, they can just help showcase a little bit better than I can. What's possible? Yeah, ambiguous enough that I didn't say anything bad. Nailed it. Okay, which one of these are we gonna stick on our Apthes here? Fizz damage not huge. There's that void damage. And the frailty's real nice. Oh, I dropped that one. Whoops. That added melee void damage is really nice though. I think either of these would be good. This is way more forging potential. Let's see what we can just craft out of this quickly. Melee void damage. How high can we go? Not very high. And did I ruin it because will discovery work now if it doesn't have anything? Oh, just you want to know how to completely ruin everything? That's how. Alright, it's got 4 affixes. We're good to go. Ooh. Here, let's actually let's just chaos it. Okay. There we go. That's actually a pretty sweet weapon. Okay. Okay, yeah. Sweet. No big deal. Oh, we gotta start here. What level's this? 65. 41. Okay, we gotta do the chest now. Okay, we're gonna stick something dumb on it. Oh, whatever.
Who dares intrude upon my research? No matter. They cannot
Yeah, if I hit the less crit, I'm pumped if I hit the less crit. We've got a few apathies. Can I mirror that? Oh, does it still have forge potential left? It does. I'm gonna mirror it. Try and hit that a couple times. I think I have a couple, don't I? I should. Yes, I have a couple. Totally 100%. Perfect. Just taking a stroll through the neighborhood. Come on. All right, let's get to a question here. I'm apologizing. I took so long of just in my own world. They're doing nothing. Scroll back up and find something I missed probably. Make the armor and weapons so amazing looking and shiny. Hi, Maximus the dog here. Hi, Maximus. Woof woof. You know. From Void Caverns here. Yes. Was wondering, when is my master coming home? It's getting kind of dark already, but I saw a weird stranger from another epoch who was wearing my master's ring for some reason. Any help would be appreciated. This is an interesting note here. I don't know if people know this, but yeah, this is exactly right. That's the only place in the game to get the captain's ring, as a ring at all, and it's from, yeah, Maximus's master. That's a nice it's a nice touch there. I like that. Yeah, this is like the worst episode of Futurama ever situation, or the best, depending on how you look at it. They're not coming back. I'm sorry. Just the worst. I'm just gonna rip that band-aid off. Before the new patch, is there any chance you would... Oh, yeah, I did that already. Sorry, I skipped that other question. Curious on your thoughts about Torchlight Infinite's crafting system. I am so remiss to say I do not know anything about Torchlight Infinite's crafting system. I am so sorry. I cannot provide you with any opinion on it. You think the lack of risk is a negative, but it has some good elements. Okay, so I'm just talking about lack of risk in general. Is there ever like a one-way change to an item? Like you add something random and it just adds it to the item, or can you always just re-roll everything you done no matter what? Like, is there anything at any point that's like this is a permanent change you're making to the weapon? Like corruption's a good example. Ice Beetle boys. Having zero oh no moments, I'm not a huge fan of personally in a crafting system, but I mean it can work really well in lots of games, so I mean it could be great. I do not have the information to make an educated response to that. I'm sorry. Any chance sets will eventually be able to go legendary as well? It's very unlikely. Currently wanting to play with that lightning meteor, but the set bonus doesn't seem to be strong enough to outdo or on par with customized equipment, and makes it harder to go to get defensives needed to survive. Yeah, there's definitely some sets that are really interesting and look really awesome for late game, but due to a lack of core stats or power, they're just not good enough. And then they don't have a way to get that stat bump to scale a little bit more into end game, unfortunately. Having them go legendary, the same way that uniques do with legendary potential and exalted and things like that, it's something that we're actively not planning on doing. We've talked about it quite a bit, and it just doesn't really fit with kind kind of what we're hoping for here. Is a ruby everything. Oh my goodness, where am I going? Is there? Did I miss something? Is Mike lost? Yeah, a little bit. That's not a way, is it? I don't think so. Okay, come on. Gotta get through this. The short answer is the tooltips are just way too long. Like, that's the short answer. We already actually scale the scale of some set item tooltips based on if you've got like the set bonuses and you hold alt and it just like shrinks the entire tooltip just to fit on screen. Even now without that, slap up to 4 more affixes on those items and like we're gonna start having like pages for the affixes on an item, and it's just too much. It's just too much. So there's kind of a hard limitation there on item description length, I want to call it. So I think if we were looking to increase or mechanically add a new system to involve set items, I think there's a couple different ways we can do that, and they might not be directly linking to the item itself. And I think I touched briefly on like one option, which I don't think will actually be the thing that happens, but just as an example of the type of thing I'm talking about, you could have let's say an idol that says well, there was the idle suggestion earlier that I was mentioning about how it like counts for a set piece for your set bonuses, but then also there's other options where it's like +2 to all attributes for each set item equipped, or something like that. 1% less damage taken for every set item equipped. There's cool stuff like that you can do. And I think that's where you'd have to go to sort of make set items a little bit more viable on the whole. There's obviously individual set item buffs that we're looking at, and there's still other mechanical options that we could look at to bring set items to scale better into endgame. And I think that's part of the big problem, is that there's also just not enough sets. We've sort of got this sort of weird compounding problem. There's not enough sets, so some of the sets are, like, if you look at the ratio of, like, leveling sets to endgame sets, there's really not that many sets that are designed as endgame sets in the first place. Like, what button is it again? And so yeah, you can end up in situations where you want. Oh, I can't remember what I'm talking about. Sorry. Set items aren't good enough yet. We're still working on it. We don't have a good solution. there's the TLDR. Making them legendary is almost zero chance that that's going to be the thing that makes them awesome. Let's drop a pool up here. Yeah, bye-bye. 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 Alright. Sorry to repeat myself. I forgot to tag you last time. I missed it. Good repost then. Wait, well done. But I forgot to tag you last time. I am a person that is not a huge fan of the seasonal model. Yep. and will likely spend a lot of time in the Eternal Realm after release. What content will there be for me to engage with, or will it all be about encouraging me to move over to seasonal play? I'd really like to see there be a thriving community in the standard realm, or whatever you want to call it, standard league, standard cycle, eternal realm. There you go, eternal. You got the term right there. I'd really like to see there be a thriving community in the eternal realm. I'm not 100% sure what that looks like right now. I'm not 100% sure the details of exactly what's going to be there. And probably what you're more interested in is what's not going to be there. I think ideally we'd have as much overlap as possible. And the main reason for that is actually just because maintaining 2 games is hard. Maintaining 2 games takes a lot of time and effort and energy and money and all that sort of stuff that could just be put into making the game better overall if we weren't maintaining 2 of them. And especially early on, I think there'll be very little difference. Especially early on, when there's, I don't know, maybe there's more things that change later, or maybe there's less things that change later. It's definitely the sort of thing that we will be looking for feedback on from our community, and we'll be like, I don't know, wanting to make sure that that's the sort of thing that, yeah, getting feedback on for that will be really nice. Oh hey, let's just make some random boots. Here, let's make some random boots. Is that something we can do? Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. Just make some boots. What am I doing? Woo! We got 34 health on our boots. Neat. I don't know. I'll just do this to beat it so that I can come back here. Getting people into the seasonal play, I think will happen pretty organically. I don't think that there's going to need to be a huge, and I think it'll happen pretty organically, and I think the people who are interested in playing a seasonal content style will play a seasonal content style, even if it's just so I'm using my own I guess prejudice is the wrong word, my own weird brain example, like Diablo 2 as an example did have some content that was ladder only. So little. It was like about 20 rune words, and that was it. And because they'd been around for so long, all those rune words existed that you could trade for easily in non-ladder, no problem. So it really just couldn't make new versions of those rune words. That was really the only difference. You could still get them on all your characters and everything. But that was still enough that I only ever played ladder. Like, ladder rolled over and I just deleted the entire account. And started a new account from scratch. I just was instantly... Actually, that's not true. I would go into a public game and drop everything. And then delete the whole account. Just be like, alright, that's it. Not doing anything with this ever again because it's not ladder. Deal with it. And that's just the way that I like to play. So that, and I think I don't know if there needs to be a lot of big incentives to drive people to play that. If they want to play it, they will play it. I think. I could be completely wrong. I think that's something that we'll see a lot of feedback on, and we'll. I think the feedback will be very valuable for that. You could use the Captain's Ring in Last Epoch cube like a recipe. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, like Wart's leg. some special recipe with it. I like that. I think it's cool. Item can be used, can be crafted as long as you have resources. It cannot be broken. About torchlight, very casual craft. Okay, that makes sense. Can you comment at all on if your relationship with Tencent has given you guys more resources for development, or is it silent so far? I don't really know what I'm allowed to talk about with that. I can say that we still have complete autonomy. I'll say that, like complete autonomy. There's at no point have I looked at any decision we've made and gone, like, oh, like, was there Tencent influence in that or anything like that? Like, no, it's all us. All of our mistakes are our own fault. We've got no one to blame. Yeah. I haven't really done anything. I mean, like I'm not really directly involved with that, so there could be more happening that I just don't know about. But it's been, I don't know, it's been great. It's been basically nothing, but I know there has been a few good, really good things that have come out of it for us. Overall, I'm very, very happy with the decision we made. It's been great. But there hasn't been any like
How is this possible?
pressure from them to do anything or change anything or yeah. All right, let's move on. What is the design reason for sets not having legendary potential? I think this may have been. I kind of talked about that already. I think I may be behind enough that I already answered that question in the middle of my rant. If you really want me to go back into sets and not having LP, let me know. ask it again, and I'll get back to it. Which of the new Lich model, with the new Lich model coming, yeah, will it fix the issue where you sometimes see both the reperform and you standard for your character? I actually didn't know that was a bug. That's funny. I'd be surprised if we don't have that fixed. There have been a lot of things like that we've been working on, and the entire transform system has been completely reworked from scratch. So pre-existing bugs like that probably just got incidentally fixed. Last Epoch is supposed, I think, to launch early 23. Are you taking into consideration that DL4 is likely to come out at least beta in April? So yeah, I talked about this a bunch earlier. The TLDR is we're gonna get it out the door as quick as we can. We're very aware of everything that's happening in the genre and in the space and other games coming out, but we're not going to let that force us into a bad launch or force us into crunch. That's the short version. On a personal note, I'm pumped for it. The fun has arrived. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? I'm playing a build very similar to one you made a video on recently. Actually, this doesn't have a racing strike though, so it's a little different. Gotta get through here. Yes. Get me through! Ha 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 ha! Julra, are you ready? Are you ready for a tickle fight? I think so! Come here. Is LE more CPU or GPU intensive game? Trying to figure out my bottleneck. CPU, big time. It also uses a lot of RAM. Warn you on that one, but yeah, it's definitely CPU. a lot of the stuff that's if you're having troubles, especially with like a lot of enemies on screen, and stutter slowdowns, things like that, if you have a very powerful GPU and even a very powerful CPU, and you're trying to and you're wondering why you're getting terrible performance. This is general, just anyone. If you have a very strong system and you're wondering why your performance is terrible, turn streamer mode on. Trust me, it will help a lot. Even if you're not streaming, just turn streamer mode on.
I will have it.
It'll just there's a very specific problem that happens. That was bad order. And like if it is what I think it is that would be causing that to happen, like it's just a massive amount of frames. It's not usually quite this extreme, but like I've seen people be like, "Oh, I just gained like 100 frames on average," and you're like, "That's not good. That there was 100 frames to grab off the floor." Get back here.
Escape is impossible. Sapphire waters. The future cannot be denied.
That was tight.
Escape is impossible.
Here we go. Almost there. Come on, just call it already. There we go. Is that Somnia again? Nailed it. Here we go. First of all, if you haven't seen this before, this is a pretty sweet item. If you have forging potential left on an item, you can duplicate it with a runic creation. It sets both of them to 0 forging potential afterwards, so it's best to use as much as you can without finishing it off. So getting into like 8's a really good spot. And you just get 2 of them. So you can't do it over and over and over and over because it needs to have some left. But let's take 2 cracks at this, eh? So I think the less bonus damage taken from critical strikes is what we want the most, because that's just basically that. Like we no longer need crit avoidance on any gear. We're just good to go there. The frailty is pretty great too, and the void damage is also awesome. We do have some physical damage that we're probably creating just because there's still a bunch of melee physical damage here, so it might help. Yeah. Really, what we're hoping for is that last one. And, like, I hope I didn't have myself covering the screen too much there. I have an unfortunately amazing track record with this sort of thing, so I'm kind of assuming it's gonna miss here. I assume there'll be an update animations for the Reaper form Lich. Is the skill tree getting touched at all? Yeah, a lot. Yeah, there's new. I think there's a bunch of new animations. I don't think it's a complete, like, ground up, start from scratch new animations, but I think there's a few new ones. Some of them may just be like tweaked versions of the old or something like that to fit better with the new model, but it's a pretty similar model, so not a lot needs to change. And then as far as the tree getting touched, I don't know. I know basically we've gone a pass through basically every single tree, so there's something touched on most trees. I'd be surprised if it was any major changes. We also haven't finished balancing for things like that. Any plans to bring back the passive grid? Also, what happened to sockets? Are they still planned? So yeah, the passive grid as a passive system, no, we're gonna stick with our current passive system. As far as as another mechanic that works with something else in some other way, with some expansion or something like that, I don't know. I think it'd be really cool, and I'll advocate for it, but we'll see what happens. And then as far as sockets, I think sockets are really interesting because if you look at an item like this, and you have like the affix shards, like an empty slot, an empty affix slot, and an affix shard in our crafting system is basically just a socket and a gem. You know, it's basically the same thing. So sockets are tricky. We've looked at a few different versions of sockets. One of which is like an affix that says +1 socket instead of the affix. So it's just like a flat 1-tier affix. We also looked at a version where like the exalted version was 2 sockets and something like that. It's a pretty huge jump though, so the scaling's really hard to do. And then once again, you run into issues with item length as well, so you gotta be careful with that. So it's a tricky thing to do. I think sockets you'll see in a little bit of a non-standard way, is what I think will happen. Nothing's set in stone yet for them. Okay. First try! Oh, alright. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Alright, we'll take those. I swear to God, this is the standard stock client. I can prove it is the stock client. Like it shows this is what's running right now. Here's a screenshot of it on Steam. It would show the beta branch running if there was something other running. Oh, that's hilarious. You know what? Celebration time. Celebration time. Look at this good boy. Oh, look at that good boy. Steve, I'm trying. I don't know how. Does anyone know how to give mod status to someone on Twitch? Oh, there it is. It's just not on Streamlabs. That makes sense. Gotcha, Steve. All right. It might be literally /mod, yeah. Or you click on in the actual Twitch UI, you just click on their name and there's an add mod button. Alright, let's get this picture off the screen. Enough time with that. Let's get back into some combat. You know what? I'm feeling bold. Let's go. Get some experience because it's a little lobby level. Here we go. Alright. Let's get some more questions. Let me ask you again, what is the design reason for sets not having legendary potential? Just want to hear your other team's thoughts and philosophies. Well, okay, so the one thing that I did mention, but I'll just reiterate it again, is just the items would become too large and unwieldy. There's too many stats, there's too many things going into it. It's just all over the place, and it's It's just too many stats. So right off the bat, it's kind of precluded from being at legendary potential there. Second thing, having the upgrade paths mechanically differ from item type to item type is good, is interesting. It lets us create different activities to do with unique rewards that's just gives more things to do. It's like maybe it's another dungeon reward that lets you scale a set item, and just the fact that it's different is means there's like a new interesting mechanic we can work in there. So it just adds depth that way by just not having it be the same thing. And then it's also the fact that they would be it's like that's the item type name. It's a legendary. The thing that makes it a legendary is that started out as unique. It was combined with an exalted, and it became a legendary. So are now set items that are legendary because they had legendary potential. They became a legendary. Is it now a legendary set item? I guess it kind of blurs the lines. So then you're talking about legendaries, and then like, are legendary set items included in legendaries? And it muddies the water of complexity that way as well. So there's a whole bunch of little reasons. And there's nothing huge and major, but there's a whole bunch of like little things that you're just like, well, that's not ideal. Well, that's not great. Well, we should avoid doing that. Well, maybe we shouldn't do that. And it's just like it all builds up to the point where you're just like, nah, we're not doing that. Tyrion, you always got great comments. I just saw your name and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be good. Let's take a breather. Hi, ancient immortal LE player, adjacently an emperor of a bunch of skeletons, formerly known as Grail. Spoiler alert. Any ideas what we can do after I have conquered the known world and pretty much chill in my palace all day long? It's getting kind of boring. So my advice is, because you got so many skeletons laying around, is you cobble them together in different ways and start like a soap opera. Because I mean, if you're stuck at home on the couch all day, what's better than a good soap, right? That's what I would do. I feel they're all there to do your bidding anyways. It's just easier that way. Streamer client. I wonder sometimes myself, you know, like how I set up so much stuff to like take a second crack at it because I'm like, there's no way. It's a 1 in 4 shot, so it's not that bad. All right, any plans to have like collector's part in the stash where you can stash each unique set item once? I'm a collector. Yeah, so this is a cool feature that actually gets requested a fair bit. I'd really like to have something like that. I think it would work better as an achievement tracker in the... There's pros and cons to doing both of these different ways, but there's sort of 2 ways to do this. One, you have a single stash page that like scrolls and has like a unique space for every single unique item to go in it, and you're filling it up like a coin collector book or something like that, or like a stamp collector book where you're like filling in these slots with all of each thing that can go in there, which is very cool. It's a little unwieldy. It's a little like there's a lot going on here. There's this giant page that I gotta scroll through just to find it and everything. It kind of sucks. The other option that I've seen suggested, which I think I actually prefer, but I don't know, and I could be probably pretty easily convinced one or the other, is having it be more of an achievement tracker. And one of the big upsides to this as well is you don't have to actually take a copy of the item that you found and stick it in that slot. It would just work on like every time you find a unique, it would just update an achievement tracker. Wouldn't matter if you have to pick it up, but it would be like, have you ever picked up this unique? Check. Have you ever picked up this unique? Check. And I think that's the way I'd probably... Ooh, that's a nice base to craft on. I think that's the way I'd probably would prefer to see it myself, but super open to feedback on it. And it's definitely like Grail quests. I've gone on a couple D2 Grail quests. I've only ever completed it once. I think I finished it. I don't know. It's so long ago. I know I've found every item in Diablo 2. I know that. I don't know if it's always been on the same time. I know I've started a couple Grail quests. They're tough. Definitely given up on more than a couple. Anyways, having it automatically track makes things a lot easier. And don't forget to put Last Epoch game in the question so I see it and answer it. I did see one here that didn't have that, but that's okay, I'll just answer it now. Any plans to make sets best in slot for some builds? We really try and avoid saying, like, okay, let's tune this item so it's best in slot for this specific build no matter what. That's a statement that we really try and avoid. Normally what we're looking at it more in the terms of, hey, is this a tool we could add, a cool tool we could add to this build's kit? Is this something that might improve this build or give it another option on ways to build it? And like things like that. Those are the types of statements we're looking at more so when we're talking about adding new items. If we are looking at specific builds that it could go in, we're generally more looking at come on back. I just really liked it when we added the ability to like bring them back early. Oh, game changer. Yeah, I don't see any reason why a set item couldn't be best in slot for certain builds. Specifically tuning it so that it intentionally is best in slot, that's not something we really do. Oh, you know what's happening? I'm taking a lot of poison damage. Got that 12 all res, certainly helping. So that's our goal, is get a bunch of poison res on our chest. The legendary potential in the chest, get a bunch of poison res. That's our goal. Which Echo has poison res? Oh my goodness! I know I can leave. Same boots that I just made legendary. It's funny. Would have to have multiple achievements then, one for any stats and one for perfect stats. We just have like a check mark if you found it and a little star if it's perfect. There you go. One advantage of the coin collection model is that when people make an unofficial ladder deciding whether to put your Ravenous Voids in the tab or where them add strategy. Yeah. If it was going to be a physical thing that you're putting in there, you'd have to be able to take them out too, wouldn't you? Like the whole stamp thing, having it like permanently immortalized in some giant tab. I think. Oh, I can feel the support tickets coming in now. I put it in my stash and it's gone forever and I can't get it back. Like, even with the giant warnings all over it, like, this is permanent, don't put anything in here. The big pop-up that shows up and it's like, warning, warning, this is permanent. Thousands of support tickets, guaranteed. No, it has to be removable. Because this tells you it's a permanent decision several times. Oh boy, do we get a lot of support tickets about that. And they always state, you never warned me. And the response is always, sorry about that. Because to be fair, if it's not something that people are seeing, it's not being warned well enough. So it is on us. So we start adding these skill testing questions, and it's like, it's a really long binary string that translates into, this is permanent. And you have to like go look up what it means online. You have to like copy and paste it and Google it to see what it actually means, so you can type out the words. we like don't let you paste things into the field, so you actually have to type it out. There we go. Perfect. It's like those there's some game where like it says, there's like a prompt when you're making your character. It says, please enter a character name, and if you type the words like character name or something like that, it goes, haha, very funny, pick an original name. And then if you type in original name, it just keeps like giving you new ways to take the instructions way too literally, and clever responses when you do. I really like that. I don't know why that reminded me of it. Alright, more questions. We'll get there. In Gates of Memoriam and Epoch's Call, is Gates of Memoriam and Epoch's Call still coming at some point? How will you balance the critical chance changes? It's two questions here. Let's split these off. Okay, so Gates of Memoriam and Epoch's Call were names of endgame systems that we had loosely created some information for, that we had planned to release early on, and that was before we had really created the dungeon system. Hadn't even been considered yet. The monolith system's changed immensely since then. Those are really good names to use, and I think there's a very good chance we'll use them at some point for endgame systems. We don't have anything specifically planned for either of those names at the moment anymore. Most of the features that we were planning on putting into those, either we realized are not possible, or we're kind of building them into other endgame systems. Okay, next one. Achievements, unique tracker would still make us need to browser dive to see the items. I love the unique tab in other games because the ability to look at the stuff we don't have. Oh, I see what you're saying, like having the like tooltips available for the items that you haven't picked up yet. I mean, you can still put that in an achievement list. When are you planning to release multiplayer? When it's ready! Which I know is such a non-answer and it bothers people. I apologize. Will you separate leaderboards when multiple launches? For example, will there be a bunch of different ladders, such as solo ladder, 2-player ladder, 3-player ladder? Yeah, basically. We had a tough time deciding what axes we were going to split the ladders on. And it still could change a little bit, but number of players is a big one, and it's pretty important. Hardcore, solo, things like that. Hey guys, just dropping by to ask something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Did you guys ever consider making block chance easier to get and nerfing blocked effect to compensate? There are a lot of cool shields in the game, but I always feel like I should use Bastion in the end. Endgame, because capping block chance is almost impossible in a lot of cases. Yeah, it's... any question that starts with, did you ever consider, on a popular topic, chances are the answer is yes, just right out of the gate. This one definitely yes, we have talked about this quite a bit. It might not be balanced quite right, but that's not a universal change we're likely to make. Having block chance be cappable easily. It's a tricky thing. There's I don't want to go too deep into the defenses because there's only 25 minutes left here, but there's this sentiment that I personally don't agree with, but I do understand where it comes from, where it basically states that any defensive layer that is chance based to have a percentage reduction, if you can't get it to 100% chance, it might as well be 0. And I like the big one that this pops up with a lot is crit avoidance when talking about crit avoidance. And I understand the sentiment. Believe me, I do. Just want to get that out of the way right out of the way at the start. But I don't agree with it at all, really. And I'm not saying it's bad to cap it or get to 100%, but it's definitely not worthless if it's not capped. Oh, I might just die here. We'll see what happens. What was I talking about though? Block chance. Yeah, block is a very popular and core mechanic to a lot of builds, and is a primary defensive layer for an entire base class, and a secondary defensive layer for several others. I even hit potion, but it's just timing too late. Oh, you guys know what that means as well. Just give me a second, I'll get to it. What am I trying to say here? I think that adding more options for block builds will have a huge impact on the just on the diversity of shields that are used. There's probably a few shields that are not designed initially, at least, as like mainstream endgame shields that are being compared to with Bastion. And then as far as just like I'm going block and I'm using a shield, therefore I'm going to use the best block shield. There's always going to be a mathematically best block shield. Like that's just going to be, unless we have several that have the exact same block stats and a few other things that are a little bit different. And maybe that's what we have to do, but I really hope not. Ow, I just kicked my chair behind me. That really hurt a lot. I'm saying this so I don't start yelling into the microphone. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Let's put something up on screen. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's comically large. Yes, Mike. Good job. Sorry about that. Oh, my foot hurts. Oh. There we go. Oh, okay, this is showcasing stagger and stun animations, and hit effects, and death animations. It's just a whole bunch of general combat improvement feels with a weird amount of hammers. But yeah, there's a lot of like staggers that are happening. I'm gonna break this down later. You'll see there's a whole bunch of like they're getting hit and they're not. Their animation is getting interrupted to stagger the character, and it doesn't have a gameplay implication, but it does make it visually appear more appropriate. Okay, cool. There we go. Little teaser. What stuff's looking like coming up here? And I missed a question. There was a 2-part question, and I skipped the second part a little while back, so I need to go back and find that. I apologize. Okay, how will you balance critical strike changes where increased crit is going to be changes into flat crit? It's a pretty wide open question. How will we balance? Well, I don't know the exact details on how we're going to do that, what it's going to look like and everything, but the goal, I think, will be to have similar levels of overall crit chance for builds that already exist. So not having a huge impact on balance overall, but it's more about simplifying the system a little bit. And that's kind of a loaded statement, simplifying something, but the complexity that it does bring for having added and increased on a percentage ability like that, that's a very common ability, does have comprehension issues pretty frequently. It's extremely common to see. I've got 100% increased critical strike chance. Why am I not always critting? Like that's a very, very common misconception or problem or issue or misunderstanding to have. And if we can help alleviate that without removing much depth in the system, that's a big win. So we'll be looking to do that. And that's not to say, I also think that that's not to say that the stat becomes impossible to include. It's more that we're looking to remove increased critical strike chance as a primary or common stat. There's a way to put it. Removing it as a common stat. So it still is possible to get, but exceedingly rare. It's a similar sort of style to the what we're doing to weapons. So the base damage on this weapon will change from physical, like 101 melee physical damage. In 0.9, it's just going to say 101 melee damage, and it's not going to have that physical tag, and it's going to get the element from whatever ability you're using. So if you use this with Void Cleave, it'll be 101 void damage, which is great. Because it'll help things scale better. Because right now there's so much physical damage that's happening here still, even though it's Void Cleave. It's a ton of that's physical. And Void Cleave might be a bad example because it is a melee physical skill. But it'll help overall. It'll especially help a lot. Spell blades, a lot. And more questions. Hello, guys. Just dropped to ask something I've been thinking a lot about lately. Do you guys ever consider making? Oh, whoops. I need like a little ability to tick off questions. Be like, oh, I answered that. Good job, Mike. Way to go. Hi, Mike. Shortly after chapters 10 to 12 were revealed, you mentioned on Discord that the plan at the time was to have chapter 10 by launch and the remaining chapters sometime afterwards. That's still the plan, or has it changed? I think that's still the plan. There is work being done on other parts of the campaign. A lot of work being done on a lot of other parts of the campaign, actually, just to improve the quality, replayability, fun, all those sorts of stuff of the campaign that already exists. Just the angle I was running, it looked like I had no weapon for a second. I was like, did I drop it somehow? No, we're good. Stuff's beefy here. Okay. Will there be a wipe when multiplayer drops? Offline characters will not be able to transition to an online environment. We will not delete characters off of your computer. All of your saves are currently stored on your local device, and we're not going to delete your save files off of your computer. However, we're also not going to accept those save files that you have on your computer as legitimate save files that we will upload to our servers when we start playing multiplayer. So you'll still be able to use those same save files playing offline when multiplayer goes live. you will not be able to bring those characters online. So, one of my favorite memes, well, yes, but actually no. Provided that it's not entropy-based chance yet. Any plans to make multiplayer testing opt-in without having it be community tester program where you get more volunteers to help you test the servers? Yes, we do have plans to open up a little bit more large-scale multiplayer testing and lower barrier entry into that system. The system's still rough enough that opening, if we just said, okay, anyone who wants to play multiplayer can opt into it, go ahead, download it, there you go, have fun. Suddenly people are getting in without going through the process of learning exactly what the state of multiplayer is and what to expect, what bugs to expect. There's no support network for those people in that they learn from other players quickly that okay, well, this feature doesn't work, and oh, you can't do this, and that's no big deal because it's still in a very early stage of multiplayer. But as soon as it's okay, anyone can join and just come do this, it's, well, why haven't you fixed this yet? And there's a lot of things that would super duper fit into that why haven't you fixed this yet category. And the answer is because it's not ready. So that's why we can't release a wide open version like that just yet. I think there's possibilities that we could see something along the lines of like an open weekend or something like that, where we're just like, we're gonna crash the servers. Come help us crash the servers. Let's do this. Let's see what happens when we crash the servers, and just let anyone in that wants to get in. So yeah, things like that I think would be cool. And then once we get a little closer, just having that CT program going forward is still something we're interested in. But maybe the multiplayer is not. Maybe being part of the CT program is not mandatory to play multiplayer, even before it's released. That could happen too. We're not entirely clear on exactly what's going to happen. Oh boy, that's a burr for sure, eh? Got her. Are all these additions will be included in next patch? It's been almost a year. Yeah, there's tons of new stuff coming in the next patch. It's gonna be cool. We don't really hide stuff or like, you're like, oh, we built this sweet thing, we'll release it in a couple patches. No, it's like we built something sweet. It's in. Let's do this. Let's go. Release it. So yeah, all the stuff I've been talking about is all in. All the stuff that we've been teasing, anything I've been teasing on stream is going to be in for next patch. I'm not gonna tease something like this and not bring it in for next patch. Oh, that would be mean. Oh, that would be mean. Someone could probably think of an example of when we've done that already, and I am sorry. I bet the werebear rework. I bet we teased the werebear rework like 2-3 patches before it actually happened. Will this game ever be completed? Yeah, of course it will. Would your stash transition to new online characters? No. Your entire save everything is stored offline on your computer. Your materials here. Like if I just got to bring 22 runes of creation with me into online play, oh my god, that's such a massive head start. If I got to bring 346 glyphs of despair into online play, oh my god, that's such a huge advantage head start. Like, that is crazy. If I just got to bring 6.3 million gold because I just had it lying around, oh my god, that's such a huge advantage. No, we can't bring any of that information in. When multiplayer drops, if you want to play online, you're playing from level 0, level 1. You won't have any Any equipment, no runes, no nothing. It's like you started a brand new account. You can still play your offline stuff offline, but online is brand new. Anyone who's also is important to note here, while we're talking about this. Anyone who's in the CT program, the CT program is on a different, I want to say, realm. It's in a different bubble than everything else. So people who are playing in the CT program right now, the characters that they're creating will not be playable in the main multiplayer environments. They're also not getting a head start advantage. They're getting like a knowledge advantage, I guess, because they're seeing things, and they know certain things that are coming before they actually happen and things like that. But they're not getting a functional advantage. I need a functional advantage. I tell you what. This is why the game gives me these ridiculous legendary rolls. It's because it knows I need them. All right, getting pretty close to the end of the stream here. So if you have any more questions, please toss those in chat, and I'll try and get to them as quick as I can. Trying to hammer through a few here. Speaking of offline characters, we'll be able to name them freely, as per recent Steam thread. Words like butts or rapid are banned. Rapid is banned. Really? That's funny. That's really funny. I'm not 100% sure what'll happen with that. Honestly, it'll probably use the same naming restrictions online and offline. Rapid seems weird that that's banned. Oh, poison! Don't pick up the poison res, Mike. What are you doing? Oh, 14 armor. Who cares? Oh, poison res. Oh, poison res. Necrotic is still nice though. Unfortunately, what am I gonna do about this? Grumble, grumble, grumble. You know what? We're doing it. Poison res is just too much. Okay. Sure. Safe one. I felt there's probably better things to put it in, but that's okay. Next question. Mike, get to the questions. Okay, don't die either. Following up on the block discussion that the entropy chance statement, how is your stance on making chance-based systems like critical strikes, blocks, or evasion having such a component to make them more reliable? Oh, I see what you're saying. So like, if you, it's so what the question's asking for. This is a pretty complex question right at the end of the thing. I think this is what you're asking for. If here is 0 luck, and here is, oh my god, what the fuck, amazing luck, this is amazing, and here is super sad, my luck's terrible. And this is block chance. Block percentage. And so 0 being like, say you have 50% block and block chance, and you literally block, and you've been attacked 100 times, and you blocked 50 of them. That's this 0 mark here. And this is, you have 50% block chance, let's say 50%. This is 100 blocks, this is 0 blocks, and this is 50 blocks. There we go. From 100 hits. And so like an entropy reduction system is trying to bring people who are these outliers into the center artificially. So we assume you're at 50% always to start off with, and you block once, and then your block chance becomes 49. and you block again, and your block chance becomes 48. And you miss a block, and your block chance goes back up to 49. And then you miss another one, and it goes up to 50. And then you miss 80 in a row, and it's up at 100. And then because your block chance is so high, you start blocking a whole bunch in a row, and then you come back down. So it's this forcing you back to the point where your average should be, and it's just stopping because with any sort of percent system like this in a proper random system, given enough time, you will receive strings at 50%. You will eventually receive strings of blocks. Successful blocks in the thousands, and strings of successful fail blocks in the thousands. Given an infinite amount of time and an infinite amount of attempts at this, it will happen. That's just the way math works. Practically, for almost every single person that plays, it will stay extremely close to 50% or whatever the actual percentage is. It'll like go to here as like the max for most people actually experience. You won't see people get like way out here. That just almost never happens. And personally, I'm not a huge fan of these entropy correction systems or whatever. However, we do have gear in the game that literally does this. So if you really want it, equip it. Okay, speaking of which, I'm about to die. I think it may actually be called entropy or something. Yeah, just want to fight one at a time. Come on down! I don't know, with the whole entropy thing, I think part of, like if you look at the roots of a game like this, and even just like the game itself as it stands on its own, I think it's really interesting when you have these big swingy things that happen. It's like, oh my god, you'll never believe what happened. Story time. Like, oh, I hit 40 blocks in a row in this clutch moment, and I only had 10% block chance, and it was amazing, and I survived because of it. Beat the boss, oh, it's cool. And yeah, there's the inverse of that too, but it still makes for a good story. Anyway, one of the best stories I have is, getting stalked by a cougar after having a boat stolen off of the back of a trailer, and the strap ripped off as we were traveling. Like good stories come from things going horribly wrong. So yeah, it's maybe unlikely. All right. Oh, I'm kind of behind here. Greg from accounting, you may have to wait. Where can I see the amount of total uncollected gold per character to prepare yearly reports for auditors? That would be a hilarious stat. We don't track it. Any plans to release the microtransaction shop before 1.0? Yes. So if multiplayer is not in a state where it's ready for public opt-in, then it's safe to say multiplayer won't be here in 2022. I'm not going to comment on the assumption, but drawing assumptions from evidence is a dangerous game at best. Also, I think a lot of these issues with crit could be solved if character sheet had more information instead of having to change crit completely. The problem really, the information's there very clearly on the crit on the character sheet. Like, it just says what the number is. It says what the base is. The problem comes from seeing things where it says, I don't probably even have anything where it just says like, here's a bunch of increased crit chance. And like you hold this and it like there and it like describes what it is even, and it's writing it down, having information to read in the game is very rarely the solution for things like that, because Getting people to read is the hardest thing to ever. The hardest thing to do in developing a game. The absolute hardest thing to do is get someone to read what you've written. That is by far the hardest thing to do as a game developer and designer. Just if you can get someone to read something, oh, god tier unlocked. Anyways, I had a great time today. I hope all of you did too. If we made any mistakes, or you've got something to say, or you just have more questions, please head on over to our Discord. We've got an Ask the Devs channel where I'm very, very active. And lots of other people too answer questions in the community that know a lot more than I do even. And Reddit, we have forums, all sorts of stuff. Please come talk, ask questions, come say hi. We're friendly. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. I hope you had fun. I know I did. I think that's what I say. We'll see you later. Let's go say hi to someone. Who's streaming? Who's streaming today? Let's find someone I don't know. That was a dangerous game. I like to see a webcam in the little preview.